Hey everyone, this video is going to be geared towards those of you who are SGU students going into your internal medicine rotation, looking for some tips and advice. I finished my internal medicine rotation about a month and a half ago, and again, I am rotating in Chicago, so my experience may be a little bit different from your experience, but I'm going to do some of the overarching things that I feel is really good going in and the mindset to keep during your internal medicine rotation. So IM was my very first rotation, and it's heavy going into, so some of you may be in that boat. I think the biggest thing to remember is go in with an open mind and be willing to learn. A lot of doctors, and you're going to hear it over and over again, and I don't think I've ever been that type of person, but it's one thing to be smart and always ready to have the answer, which is great, but you can't be overbearing in your rotations. You're going to turn off your attendings very, very quickly if you're a person who is just jumping the gun 24/7. So sit back, be a sponge, absorb at times, and know when it's appropriate to input those responses. As far as the rotation versus the shelf goes, I'm going to do rotation first. So again, going in with an open mind, always being punctual. I was a person who it's instilled in me to show up early 24/7. So getting there early, reviewing your patients, it's going to depend a lot on your workload too and what the hospital expects of you. Our hospital in particular treats us like residents. So we're expected to go in, we have our patients set, we're expected to review their charts, their medications, their labs, pretty much everything that's happened the night before, go and visit them, and then develop a plan, any additional treatments that we may need or things that we need to keep a little bit closer eye on. So we are very heavily involved in our rotation, and it's something that is very good, but it's also time consuming when it comes to the shelf. So other than being punctual, staying ahead, make sure that you're also practicing like you would as a future physician, practicing your bedside manner, practicing having those tough communications with patients as well as their families, but also asking the doctor a ton of questions when you get the chance. There are appropriate times to ask questions and learn, and that is the best way to do so. And even asking your fellow classmates, asking your fellow peers, that is one of the biggest ways that I learned best during my IM rotation. Getting to the shelf. So for SGU specifically, I know some other students from other schools are going to watch this, but SGU specifically, you need at least a minimum of a 62% on your shelf to go ahead and pass. And then I believe high honors is around 79% to high pass, and then honors is somewhere in the 80s. Correct me if I am wrong though. So studying for shelf, you don't have much time to use a lot of outside resources. So I use my White Coat Companion, Step Up to Medicine, and UWorld. Those were the three things that I used before I started taking the MBMEs, and then I would transition from my final few weeks before the shelf to go ahead and focus in on my MBMEs, constantly reviewing those and just reading through every single answer. It's pretty straightforward. It's pretty simple. If you're an Anki user, I would highly recommend hitting that off the bat. I did, but I did not upkeep it with IM, unfortunately. I did for more psych rotation, which I will talk about that in another video. But as far as the shelf goes, just keep up with those resources. Make sure you're doing your questions every day so you don't get behind. There's like 1,600 questions for IM, so you're going to start those right off the bat and get the ball rolling. It's a 12-week rotation, so utilize every single minute. If you happen to have weekends off during your IM rotation, great, utilize those. For me specifically, I did not. We were pretty much working almost every day besides Sunday, and sometimes we'd have to come in on Sunday. And that was for hospitalists, that was for cardiology, and then I did nephrology. Some of the students did ICU. So it's just going to depend on your hospital and the rotations that you're doing. I think my biggest takeaway from IM is potentially knowing that I don't want to go the IM route. I think these are very good rotations to find out what you want and what you don't want. IM is still a little bit too broad for me. I am focusing in on emergency medicine or general surgery, looking towards organ transplant in the future, and still deciphering whether or not I want to go into those. But biggest advice, especially if it's your first rotation, just take that breather. You're going to be nervous your first couple of days. You're going to settle in just fine. And it's so important to make sure that you do the absolute best that you can during these rotations, because you're going to very quickly figure out whether you like it or not. And this is the one opportunity that you're going to get to rotate through all of these rotations and really make a good solidified decision on what you want as a physician and what you want in your future career. So a lot of people ask about just the studying schedule and the work schedule. You're going to be overworked. You're going to be tired. Utilize your resources wisely. Again, UWorld and your MBMEs are going to be your best bet. supplement in there with Step Up to Medicine and White Coat Companion. If you do prefer Boards and Beyond, you're not going to be able to go through all your Boards and Beyond videos. It's just not going to happen. If you do, you're going to be, good for you if you're able to do that. But I personally was not, and I still ended up high passing the IM rotation. So all my best of luck. If you have specific questions about the IM rotation, leave them down in the comments below. My next video is going to be on psych rotation, which I'm finishing up right now. So if you're going to be following me on the psych rotations and want a little bit of insight on those, go ahead and watch my next video. Until later, guys.